Hey, I'm coming to you today from inside our first ChASM Project school, and I'm so excited to be here. But I have to tell you, this place did not just miraculously spring up because ChASM Project needed a location. No, it was the end result of a long chain of events that basically boiled down to people who were faithfully obedient to what the Lord told them to do. In some cases, that was prayer. Some people gave. Some people helped us share the word, both through word of mouth, social media. And there were people who volunteered their time, and a host of other people. I could not go through and name them all. Like I said, it was a lot of participation. But it reminds me of an important point that is central to what we believe and how we operate here at the ChASM Project, and that is that it is not good for us to be alone. We actually get that from Genesis 2. When God made man and he put them in the garden, Genesis 2 says he made him from the dust of the ground, and then he planted the garden eastward in Eden, and that's where he took the man and put him. So we see the man first and then the mission. The garden was a mission. It was not there because God needed to get vegetation into the earth. He already did that. This was secondary. The purpose of the garden was for man to be able to fulfill his God-given mission. So we have the man and then the mission, but then something interesting happens as God is looking at this after, over and over again, him saying, God saw that it was good, it was good, it was good, and at the end of creation, it was very good. We see this one time where God says it was not good. Well, what was not good? It was not good for man to be alone, and it is still not good for man to be alone. God designed us to work with other people. That's why the first actual recorded human words were in Genesis 2 when God brought the woman to the man. That's the first time we hear the man speak, and he rejoices, saying, bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh, she should be called woman, for she was taken out of man. He's excited because God has brought him the person he needs to help him fulfill the mission that God gave him. Oftentimes when God reveals the vision, it's not just a mission, it is a co-mission. It requires other people to accomplish. And that seems to be God's pattern. He makes the man, he brings him the mission, reveals the vision, whatever the case may be, and then he brings people alongside him to help. That's been my experience here at the ChASM Project. Of course, he made me a long, long time ago, but then he revealed the vision for the ChASM Project close to 12 years ago now, and little by little, he's brought people into my life. He's brought mentors in. He has brought in people who acted as consultants. We have an advance party that meets every Monday night, and they petition the Lord weekly. They intercede on behalf of the boys of the ChASM Project. They intercede on behalf of the staff, and they really seek God's will for the ChASM Project. We have a board that helps steer the ship. They provide strategic oversight and direction for the ChASM Project. We've had consultants that help us with marketing, with curriculum development, with a host of other things. We've had donors who really, I think the donor role is so important because they are the hands and feet of Christ, and what they really do is help God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And volunteers do the same thing. And that's something we don't want to just skip over or take for granted. It really is important. God has a vision for the ChASM Project, and just like Adam in the garden, it is a bigger vision than I can handle on my own, and it really requires donors, volunteers, and everybody else I mentioned to help make God's vision a reality on the earth, to help God's will be done on the earth as it is in heaven. But there's something else about working together that's really important to the ChASM Project, and that's the impact it has on the boys. As I said earlier, it is central to our belief that we are better together, and it is not good for us to be alone. And we teach that to the boys, yes, through our words and through our instruction, but also through our example. The young men that we serve don't always come in feeling like they're part of something. In fact, most of them, the world for them is a very lonely place. They don't have a lot of success at school. They are in trouble a lot of times, and it can feel like the world is really stacked against them, like they are all alone. But here at the ChASM Project, through mentorship, through discipleship, through godly male role models, and perhaps most importantly, through the ChASM brotherhood that changes, they become part of a fellowship of young men and develop lifelong friendships that will carry them beyond graduation and throughout the trials and tribulations that life throws their way. You know, life is not only not easy alone, it is impossible alone. That's why it's not good to be alone and why we are better together. And I believe that's true in your life as well. It's not just for me, but God has placed you in the world for such a time as this, in such a place as this. He has a distinct assignment and purpose for your life. You know what it is, I may not, and I assure you that if it is a God-sized vision and a God-sized mission, it is more than you can do on your own. And so that is why it's so important to recognize the people that God has brought alongside of you and to have those people help you in completing everything that He's placed before you to do. I'm so grateful that He brought you and others like you into the sphere of the ChASM Project and excited about what the Lord is doing through us together.